but that's alright.
Oh my god!
Yo guys, what is up? Max here in our Borderlands 3 video, and today we're talking about my new Moze build for the Guardian Takedown Mozooka. It absolutely crushes the Guardian Takedown. It is beating the Guardian Takedown before the scaling changes and after the scaling changes. If you did not know, Gearbox reduced the mob health by 50% yesterday, so it is a lot easier to do the Guardian Takedown, and this build crushes true takedown and non-true takedown of this takedown. Now, real quick, before we get into the build, guys, we're getting so close to 100k subscribers. If you guys are enjoying the content, please hit that subscribe button and like, comment on the video. And with that, let's talk about this build. So this is a rocket launcher spam build. Now, in yesterday's video, I was talking about going Bloodletter, Deathless, and I followed the damage trail. And when you really look into it and look at the amount of damage that you can output going Bloodletter Deathless versus going Blastmaster Pearl. Blastmaster Pearl wins hands down. We get so much more damage, and we're not losing any bit of survivability by going Blastmaster, so this is going to be a Blastmaster Pearl build. And gonna be honest with you guys, skill tree is pretty much the same thing as Fire Hose Moze, but Fire Hose Moze was designed to not use rocket launchers and was designed to be like a splash damage SMG build. So I have a different name for this because otherwise I wouldn't be really spamming rockets on Moze. But for the Guardian Takedown, this works extremely well. Now we are going to be a blue tree, green tree, skill tree, and be breaking down just why the decisions I made are so good and the synergies that are going on here. But before we talk about the whole skill tree, let's really quick talk about the weapons and the anointments we're using. Now, this build, depending on how you want to use it, can be used without ever hopping into Iron Bear, ever. But if you want the most damage output, you will hop into Iron Bear and out because it's anointment proctor. But if you want to run the entire Guardian Takedown without hopping into Iron Bear, that's totally fine. So the two anoints that we're using for this build are consecutive hits and action skill and splash damage. Now, consecutive hits is the anointment you want for mobbing when you're doing the crystals, when you're doing fighting all the little guardians. Consecutive hits on backburners and plague bears is the way to go. Now, when you are going into a boss encounter, for example, if you want the highest damage output, you're going to go for an action skill and splash damage. You're going to pop into Iron Bear, jump out, and do 200% increased splash damage. Now, if you do not want to use Iron Bear at all, you could just rock consecutive hits on all of your weapons, but consecutive hits and splash damage are the way to go. Consecutive hits for mobbing, splash damage for bossing, and that applies to our Plague Bears as well. Right now, I haven't gotten a Plague Bear with consecutive hits, so I'm using this anointment, but it doesn't work for this build. But Plague Bears for mobbing, backburners for bossing. Also, the Plague Bear is extremely strong for mobbing, and the backburner is really, really strong at the crystal phases and for bossing. Now, we are rocking the Transformer after exiting Iron Bear, gained 75% increased shields and health. Because we're not using an ASE, there's less reason to hop out in and out in Iron Bear, and this is what I use for my mobbing. Now, because we're using shock weapons, we're not really running much risk of killing ourselves. On crystals, when you have a backburner and you can just shoot it like basically on top of you, it's very, very nice because one, your survivability is going to be crazy, but if we had an ASE here, we would be killing ourselves. So this build is extremely tanky. That is one way we stay alive, but there are plenty of other ways. Now, besides the weapons and the shield, we are using the Blastmaster and the Pearl. This build never reloads. You're going to be spamming out rockets, Toss it a grenade, shoot a rocket, throw a grenade, and you're always going to keep up. Blastmaster giving you a 100% increased splash damage when we're using rocket launchers with the Pearl, which is going to give us a ton of gun damage, and we're going to be stacking that with consecutive hits. It gets crazy. Now, one of the questions that I was getting asked while I was playing this on stream is, why are you using consecutive hits on a rocket launcher that shoots slowly? That doesn't make sense. Consecutive hits, if you did not know, stacks up on any damage. If we are dotting an enemy, any of those dots, every time they tick, proc consecutive hits. If we shoot the backburner, for example, all of the projectiles that'll spawn out and all of the dots and enemies they hit will proc consecutive hits. Our cloning maddening tracker with all of its hits will proc consecutive hits. So we're stacking consecutive hits extremely quickly. And another reason that this may look a little weird, we're going 1 point into fire in this skag den, because 1 point into fire in the skag den will give us a fire dot. So we're always going to be having a fire dot and a shock dot, so our consecutive hits will stack up just at, or double as quickly as it would if we weren't be doing any fire damage. We're going grizzled for the Iron Bear cooldown time. Now, once again, you can use Iron Bear or you cannot. Grizzled is really, really nice with Auto Bear for two reasons. Grizzled is going to give you really low Iron Bear cooldown time, and when you have bosses with immune phases, especially this boss here, you're jumping between platforms, you don't have that much time to stack up consecutive hits, and you're going to want that big burst damage. So you can pop into Iron Bear, and I use this for this boss. You're going to be able to shoot your rocket launcher. Most of the time, one hit to the immune phase, hop over to a different platform. I shoot a plague bear in between. That'll kill a few enemies, get my cooldown back, and then I can just pop into Iron Bear again and kill everything. So that is why we're going grizzled. The other reason is because Auto Bear draws aggro like crazy in this takedown. If you hop into Iron Bear and you hop out of Iron Bear, all of the explodey enemies, Diadaras, I forget what they're called, I just call them foreheads, they will chase after your Iron Bear and they will explode on them. So if you're ever on the plates and you see those things coming, you could pop out of Iron, or jump into Iron Bear, put Iron Bear a little bit away from the platform, and they will suicide on your Iron Bear. Next up, pull the Holy Pin. Now, grenade crits aren't the biggest thing, but when we have such high critical hit chance, we're always going to be proccing redistribution, which is just going to give us more ammo regen and more health regen. And because we've got a Blastmaster, we're double dipping into this to give us even more ammo regeneration, which is really nice because, as I said, we're never going to be loading because we're spamming Blastmaster and rocket launchers. Now, for the rest of the blue tree, Toward Cross Promotion for more splash damage. Means of Destruction is absolutely huge for regenning our rocket ammo and our grenades. Stainless Steel Bear works with short fuse, and Stainless Steel Bear is going to give us more short fuse damage. The reason I decided to go short fuse here, because originally I played through this takedown, I was going into Red Tree, and I wasn't going short fuse, but I didn't realize just how much damage short fuse does with backburner. Now, short fuse has a percentage chance to proc, right? We have a secondary explosion chance of 20%, but when it does proc, we're going to get 75% of our gun damage. That's not that great on, like, let's say, a quickie or something like that. However, all of these little explosions that are popping out and overlapping, especially on bosses, all each individually have their own chance to proc short fuse, and short fuse double dips in all of your splash damage bonuses. So it'll be double dipping in all of our splash damage bonuses, and I don't know if you can tell, but we have a lot of splash damage, an absolute absurd amount of splash damage. So when this short fuse procs with the backburner, things get one shot. It's crazy. So definitely want short fuse with this. Works really, really strong, and it works really well with the plague bears. Next up, we're going Cloud of Lead. Bonus incendiary damage, not really needed. We're more going for this for the every fourth shot does not consume ammo. It just helps us never reload. Cloud of Lead for increased incendiary damage. Now, I was originally like, if I'm going to be doing incendiary damage when I just kill myself, with the back burner, because we're doing shock damage and I have a little bit of fire damage, that fire damage should kill me. Not because the shock damage is going to be healing our transformer so much that you do not need to worry. You will get fire dotted, but as you can see, it's like absolutely nothing. So, nothing to worry there about downing yourself. You're still going to get the incendiary damage. You're still going to get the incendiary damage to proc your faster consecutive hits, but you do not have to worry about killing yourself at all. Scorching RPMs, fire rate, critical hit damage. Mainly just went this for the critical hit damage because the rest, like fire rate, doesn't really matter that much to us. Russian offensive is great. We're going scrappy for weapon damage mainly, but rushing offensive here is really, really nice because if, for example, you ever need a quick boost of health, you can just do this. Just tap, sprint. That's all you need to do. And if you have a back burner, any sort of dot, a grenade, back burner shot will full heal you. So we're super, super tanky. If you're not getting full healed by a Vampire, you're getting healed by Russian offensive, which is really, really nice. Iron Bank for more magazine size. We're going click, click because we do get down to our last shot a lot of the time, and that's going to give us a ton of extra gun damage. Some for the road because you like spamming rockets. I like spamming rockets. So if you want to hop into Iron Bear, you can spam rockets. And then Forge for more ammo regen. Now, honestly, if you didn't want to spec Forge, Forge is not needed here. Forge doesn't really help rockets regen that much ammo. But if you want to use something else with this build, it's nice to have, and it's just 1 point. But if you wanted to put that point back into Scorching RPMs, you totally could, and you would not feel any difference in your ammo regen for these rockets. And then we're using Target Softening and Vanquisher rocket pods. Now, for modifiers, I mainly use Speed Demon because it helps me do the skips, and the one way that you can die when using this is like when you're using a Fire Plague Bear. Those projectiles will chase after enemies, and if you have an enemy chasing after you, those projectiles will chase after you and try to hit you if an enemy is like meleeing you. So that's extra Speed Demon will help me get away from those enemies so that I don't take any self damage. For your modifiers, for medium and hard, doesn't really matter. I've been using Not the Face. Critical hit damage is reduced by 75%. We're not really relying on critical hit damage. Our rockets are crazy. You do not need to use this. You could go for either Postmortem or Buddy System because we have so much splash damage and so much AoE. The skulls die and the drones die very, very quickly. But I've just been rocking Not for the Face because I don't have to worry about that, and I kill everything without needing crit damage. So that's what I've been rocking. If you guys want this build, it'll be in the save file section of the Discord. All you got to go is there and download it. Lastly, talking point, clothing mining tracker on grenade throw. So you can throw grenades. You don't have to hop into Iron Bear. For bossing, if you are going to go full out for bossing, I would put on an Old God with an ASC. It's going to give you more damage. But if you want to just rock a transformer through this entire thing, you totally can do that. Your survivability is already off the roof. Guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something new. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace.